The concerns raised by the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union follows its intervention to negotiate exit packages for the ex-workers of the 5 collapsed banks. The General Secretary of the ICU, Solomon Kote, explains that the labour law requires that any process of redundancy be sent to the Chief Labour Officer 3 months to carrying out the exercise. In Mr. Kote's view, the fast pace of downsizing labour at the Consolidated Bank leaves more questions to be answered.
ICU believes strongly that the workers in this particular matter must come under the Labour Act, Section 65. That is where they belong. But with what the Consolidated Bank is doing now, as if they are having rights that are not regulated by law. Okay? Because we saw what happened at UT and Capital Bank. Commercial Bank took over. They ran for a while before the layoffs were done. And that process, they even notified the National Labour, the Labour Department. In this case, the Labour Department have not been notified, and they are going ahead to lay off numbers of workers. Even though we have a very horrible data of the unemployment situation, by this, they are adding more that could not be identified.
The timeline for workers of the Consolidated Bank to complete an online application process to secure their employment concluded today. Subsequently, the workers will be subjected to skill set assessments which will influence a final determination of the number of staff to be retained. This is expected to be completed by the end of September. In an attempt to reduce the impact of job losses, the staff of Consolidated Bank are currently undergoing some skills training which are expected to be useful for the provision of essential services where necessary. But Solomon Kote says this plan should ideally succeed negotiations for the exit packages.
Ideally, we must conclude negotiations before the workers go. Now, we know it is a race with time for them. Time seriously is not on their side, especially after issuing to every employee a 60 days contract work, and 30 days is gone out of it. We can say today for sure 33 days is gone out of it. So now, with the 22 days that is left, okay, there's so much pressure on them to go through their due processes. And I believe we may get to a point where we say, okay, let the workers go whilst we continue to negotiate.
In all, reports suggest that about 1,700 out of the 3,700 workers will be shown the exit from the Consolidated Bank. This should also afford the management opportunity to efficiently manage the 191 branches which might eventually drop after the restructuring.